Well, here to talk more about that, we're joined by Intifad Kambar. He's the former spokesman for the Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq and now the president of the Future Foundation, Washington, D.C. And Hussain Abdul-Hussain is a research fellow at the FDD, the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies. Good evening to you both. Thank you for being with us. And Intifad, if I could start with you, what exactly is going on here? There are some reports that these protests have been stirred up by the Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. What's your take on it?
Well, Laura, I just hung up the phone with a person who's very close to Muqtada al-Sadr's circle, and he talked to his circle, very close circle in Najaf, and specifically what's called Hannana, where Muqtada's residence is. And apparently Muqtada al-Sadr is extremely outraged, not only by the burning of the Quran, is also extremely, apparently outraged by what happened in the Swedish embassy. We don't know what happened exactly, but it seems like Muqtada did not order them to burn the inside of the embassy. It's very much possible some Iranian proxies who tried to embarrass Muqtada by doing so. Muqtada has his own people sieged many buildings before, and they never burned any building in the past. So we don't know what exactly happened, but supposedly Muqtada is going to come out and make a very fiery speech and probably attack more and more. This is part of a Shia or Shia-Iran struggle inside Iraq, by the way.
All right. Hussain, if I could bring you in now. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? Because Sweden took in more Iraqi refugees than all the other European countries combined. It has one of the world's largest Iraqi diasporas. And yet you're seeing this diplomatic crisis.
Well, that's correct. And this is the problem of a majority or many Iraqis not really internalizing the concepts of liberty and freedom that are required in any democracy. The reason why this happened, or you would wonder, if the Quran gets burnt, how come all these Muslim countries, none of them acted or none of them protested like the Iraqis we see on this footage are doing? And the reason why this is happening is because the person who burned the Quran, one of them, was an Iraqi person. And Iraq demanded that this gentleman be repatriated, and the Swedes said that won't happen. So this shows you that even the government of Iraq and the majority of the political culture in Iraq still perceive of this as a tribal affair. The fact that this man was Iraqi does not mean that the Iraqi government can dictate what he does, what he burns, what he doesn't burn, or where he lives, or for Sweden to hand him back over. Plus, there's whatever he did not violate any Iraqi law. The Iraqi constitution and laws do not specify that you're not allowed to burn whatever books you want to burn. And also in the Muslim laws, the Islamic tradition, burning the Quran is one way of disposing of the Quran. And we know that the third Caliph Osman did burn a lot of copies that he considered were not the actual copy. So this whole thing seems to me as a tribal identity kind of crisis, not something that goes by laws, liberty, or even Islamic laws.
All right. Well, it has now taken on an international aspect, hasn't it? Intifad, I mean, there was a serious security incident in Baghdad this morning. Thousands of protesters storming the embassy. We heard that condemnation from the US. Why can't the Iraqi authorities protect foreign embassies?
Iraqi authorities are able to protect things against normal citizens, but against militias and Muqtada al-Sadr followers, they never were able to stand for religious purposes. Most of them are Shia. I may add to what Hussain said. The person who burned the Quran, the Iraqi person who burned the Quran, who was an Iraqi Christian, Salwan Momika, he was a member of the Shia militias. He was a leader of a Christian militias under Kataib Imam Ali, which is a notorious Iranian proxy militia. And he has videos praising Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis and mourning him after his killing by U.S. strike in January 3rd, 2020. So the whole thing smells some sort of Iranian involvement. And I think the overreaction of the Iraqi government is basically to cover up or to cover their tracks that this guy was one of the militias who's under Ryan al-Kildani, another U.S. sanctioned Christian who is a leader of Babylon militia under the IRGC of Iran.
Right, and Hussain, what does this tell us about Iran's influence in Iraq?
Well, the whole thing looks like Iranian intervention, at least Iranian inspiration. I mean, how many countries in the world where you see mobs actually invading embassies and burning down embassies? And this started in 1979 with the Khomeini followers invading the U.S. embassy. And in 2016, the Iranian mob also burned down the embassy of Saudi Arabia in Tehran and the consulate in Mashhad. So invading embassies is something only the Islamist regime of Iran introduced to the world order and believes in, because this regime believes that the global order does not apply to the Islamic Republic, that they can have their own order. And this is what we see on the footage. This is the consequence of the Iranian influence just expanding all the way into Iraq.
Hussain, Abdul-Hussain and Intifad Kambar, thank you very much indeed to you both.